You could say all the right scripts. You could say all the right stuff. But if everything is surface level, you get nowhere. It's all about driving deep, meaningful, impactful, lasting connections. Or when people are done with you, they go, man, that was awesome. I enjoyed the time. You know why? People don't spend time around people who listen. So what makes a good, deep emotional connection when you're with a client? What separates a professional in sitting with someone across the table on a business meeting or a recruiting meeting, or when you meet somebody out in public? What separates a professional from an amateur, from a rookie? Is it the words? Is it the scripts? So many times I get asked, hey, what's your script? What do you say? You know, what's your closing line? What's your best recruiting line? What's your best sales pitch? Like, is it the words, or is it something deeper than that? That's what we're going to talk about today, you guys. Episode number 6. Am I right? Perfect. Episode number 6. And we're talking about how to create deep, meaningful, lasting, impactful connections. Deep, meaningful, impactful, lasting connections that go past the surface, right? Connecting beyond the surface. So where did this podcast topic come from? I was having a conversation with Ronnie. She was bringing up an agent of ours who she was watching recordings from. That agent probably watches this show. And she's watching the recording. She said, I'm trying to figure out where they're falling short, because they're trying so hard. They're doing everything right. And I'm watching their presentations. I'm watching their recordings with clients, because a lot of people were becoming these people's clients. But when it came down to the end of actually like drafting policies, receiving paperwork, weeks later after submitting applications, they would change their mind. And she said, I've watched 2 hours of their recordings now, and I can't really necessarily pinpoint exactly what it is. And I said, well, based on what I know of that person and my observations through interactions, I think I know what they're missing. And she said, what is it? And I said, I feel like they connect at the surface level, but when they're sitting with a client, everything's very surface. There's no depth. There's nothing like deep down in there past what you could see. Everything's very surface. What they're doing is they're giving a good, maybe even a great presentation, but it's just a presentation. So for episode 6, what are we talking about? What's the difference between a pro and someone who's good? What's the difference between like expert God level closing and someone who's just given a great presentation? There are levels to everything, you guys. There are levels to everything. And today we're going to talk about how to become amazing and leave an impactful connection when you meet somebody. So first thing, let's talk about, there's a difference between giving a presentation and reciting information and really genuinely connecting. There's a huge difference. Now, what do I mean? Most people, when they get on an appointment, they get on a call, they get on some sort of a recruiting appointment or even a client appointment, or they're having a presentation or they're meeting in person, what are they doing? They're reciting words. They got their slides and they're just going. So like this individual, if I think about them, I could see them. They move fast. They talk fast. They're very quick. And they don't necessarily, as they're going through everything, they don't necessarily stop to listen. Now, a lot of us, we listen, but we listen to reply versus listening to understand, process, empathize, feel, and respond. There's a huge difference. Surface level connections. So presentations don't build huge, giant empires. Presentations are surface level. What happens on presentations? Surface level interactions. I'm reciting words, flipping slides, going through my scripts. You're giving the natural responses. Yeah. Oh, I understand. That makes sense. And I just keep on pushing. I ask you a question. How are you today? Oh, I'm great. Okay, cool. Well, let's get started. That's surface level. Where are you from? Oh, I grew up in Los Angeles. Oh, really? Okay, cool. And what do you do for work? Oh, I'm a nurse. Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. Do you love it? Yeah, I enjoy it. All right, cool. Okay, so do you have any goals for finances? Like, do you have any goals for money? That's surface level conversation. That's a surface level interaction. That's not deep. That's not impactful. But that's how most people do presentations. We ask a question, they respond, we move on to the next question on our paper. We ask it, they respond, we move on to the next one. Did you learn anything? Yeah, it was really good. Okay, awesome, great. How are you? I'm doing okay. Okay, cool. I saw one time, you guys, I'm sitting on an appointment. I'm shadowing. And the trainer, how are you? How's everything going? Honestly, it's been rough. It's been rough. Oh, okay. All right, well, thank you for being here. That's surface level. That's a surface level interaction. That's an interaction that does not go anywhere. We go an hour into the appointment, an hour into the phone call, an hour into the presentation. You think you're crushing it because you're like, next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide. And you're not getting any objections. They're not telling you, oh, this doesn't seem right to me. They're not doing any of that. They're just like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. And you get to the end, no close. Or they submit an application because they don't know how to tell you no, and in 2 weeks, cancel. Why? Those are surface level interactions. Those surface level interactions are more focused on delivering information than they are connection. Surface level interactions are more focused on throwing out facts, throwing out numbers, and delivering a presentation than it is connection. So let's talk about what comes inside of a connection. When I was telling Ronnie about these individuals, she's like, that's exactly what it is. She's like, I can see that. Yep. She's like, that's exactly what it is. Well, what creates deep, meaningful, impactful, long-lasting connection? Vulnerability. Okay, let's talk about vulnerability for a second. Being open, being honest, even at the risk of looking silly or being exposed. Vulnerability is I'm willing to potentially not look as strong or cool as I am. There's a million definitions for vulnerability, but I'm trying to think of how to explain vulnerability on an appointment. It's a combination of vulnerability and empathy, right? Empathy, which is like, I could feel what you're going through. That's empathy. Being an empath, it's very it's feeling driven. Like an empath could literally pick up on and feel your energy. That's what makes a deep, meaningful connection. Relating to other people on a deeper emotional and intellectual level. How do we do that? Someone asks a question, for example. I say, hey, how are you? And they go, it's okay. I'm doing okay. And I go, why okay? You notice my tone of voice changed. Why okay? Why aren't you doing great? Oh, well, just a long day at work. Tell me about work. How's work been? It's okay. I mean, there's a lot going on. I said, do you love it? I mean, are you burnt out? It sounds like maybe you're burnt out. Is it something you're enjoying? Is it something you're passionate about? Yeah. What's bothering you? You seem like something's bothering you. Okay, it's going past, it's layering questions. Where'd you grow up? Oh, I grew up here. What was your childhood like? Man, right there, we just took that conversation. Instead of, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Los Angeles. Oh, okay, cool. Next question. What do you do for work? That's surface. Where are you from? Oh, I grew up in Los Angeles. Really? How long have you been in Los Angeles? I've been in Los Angeles my whole life. Are you still there? Yeah, I'm still there. Wow. So that's how long now? 20 years? 25 years of your adult life? Yeah. Wow, very good. Do you love it? Do you ever see yourself moving? Why'd you stay? What was your childhood like? Who raised you? Were you raised by mom and dad, grandma? Who raised you? These are like conversations. This is literally conversations I have on an appointment. You could find so many places to connect with people when you're having conversations like this. Connection is relating to others on a deeper emotional and intellectual level. Now, what that does is that turns a presentation into genuine, authentic dialogue. Dialogue means I'm talking, you're talking. We're going back and forth. We're hitting the ball back and forth. That's dialogue. empathy, which is my ability to feel, and vulnerability, which is I'm not trying to be cool. I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I'm being authentically myself. Those two things take every conversation and drive it deeper. Vulnerability and empathy. Now, there's a science and an art that has to come in this, and that's the art of listening. Okay, good listening is being fully present and understanding what the client's telling you. That's good listening. Being fully present and understanding what the client's telling you. So when I ask a question on an appointment, if I'm just doing a presentation, I'm honest to God, I'm waiting for them to respond so I could say what's next in my script. Half the time I probably don't even hear them. If I'm just doing a presentation and I ask a question, I'm asking for a response because it gives me time to think. And then I'm already like thinking about what's my next point? What's my next point? What's my next point? I'm completely disconnected from the actual reality of the conversation. That's how you get to the end of the appointment and you have no clue. I'll tell you a quick story. By the way, stories is one of the tools for driving deeper connections. My very first appointment that I ever ran by myself, I drive 40 minutes to the client's house. I pull up. I'm in a smart car. Can you imagine? I'm 6'5". I'm in a smart car convertible, by the way. I pull up to the client's house. Mistake number one, I park right in front of the client's house. I turn, look at the front door, look at my watch, look at my phone. Why? Because I'm here. My trainer's not. It's time to start, and I have no missed calls or responses from my trainer. 5 minutes passes. I'm calling. No response. Finally, I go, what the heck? He calls me back. I answer the phone. Hello. What's up? Where you at? Guess what? He forgot. He's not coming. I look back at the client's front door. I look down at the passenger seat because it had my flip chart. And I said, all right, game time. I'm going to do it myself. I get out of the car. I walk into the client's house. I knock. Boom. They answer. They go, where's your trainer? I go, oh, he's not here. It's all me. You're going to be the first presentation I ever do on my own. They're like, oh, okay, come on in. We sit at the kitchen table. Beautiful home, qualified appointment, husband, wife, kids, the whole thing. I sit there. I lay out my presentation. And I say, it's game time. And I start. 45 minutes later, rookie mistake. I go, what did you think? And in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm freaking killing it. Boom, flipping, boom, next page, next page, next page, next page, next page. Get to the end. What do you think? Bad question. And they go, we're still not 100% sure what it is that you do. And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what I do? I just, for 45 minutes, explained it. Well, what did I give? I gave a presentation with zero connection. Zero. I don't even know if I asked any questions, if I'm being honest with you. And if I did, I sure as hell didn't hear any of their responses. Because they would respond, and all I heard was a response, and I went right on to my next key point. Okay? The art of listening, present listening, where I'm looking you in the eye. Ed Milet, who's our mentor, one of our mentors, I mean, he's phenomenal at this. Phenomenal. I watched him on a private jet sit and entertain this bonehead who was on the jet with us, who talked about himself for 45 minutes straight. And the guy was so full of crap for 45 minutes straight, by the way. So annoying. And I watched Ed like this. Like locked in. And I'm sitting there like this dude is a total clown. And you would have thought he was telling Ed the most important, deepest, most impactful, powerful story Ed has ever heard in his life by how present Milet is when he listens. I got off that plane. I called Dan, my coach, and I'm like, I don't know how he does it. He's like, why? What do you mean? I said, he just listened to XYZ run his stupid mouth for 45 minutes. And you would have thought it was the most like powerful moment of Milet's life with how present he is. I said, I can't figure out how he does it. That is a freaking gift and an art. Well, that's the art of listening. That moment on that jet, actually, I never told Ed this, but it changed my whole life on my focus on being present in the moment and hearing people when they talk. The art of listening. It's the difference between a surface level presentation, but when you become a powerful listener and you master the art, it becomes a meaningful, deep, genuine dialogue and connection that resonates with people. Now, let's talk about a couple techniques for having deeper conversations. Number one, asking the right questions. When you ask the right questions, you open the door for a deep, meaningful conversation with your clients. The power of asking questions. John Maxwell talks about the power of asking the right questions. He also talks about connection, right? And everyone communicates, few connect. The power of asking the right questions is everything. And how do you ask the right questions? You ask the right questions by being present and listening. When I ask something and they respond, if you ask the right questions and you listen correctly, your clients will tell you everything you need to know. That's how you take a 2-hour presentation and you make it 35 minutes, is by asking the right questions when you're connecting in the beginning of your appointment. By the way, creating rapport is not just having a BS conversation before you start a presentation. Creating rapport can be done in 30 seconds. You don't have to talk for 25 minutes and ask them a series of questions in order to create rapport. How do I create rapport right when I got on an appointment? Hey, it was great. It's great being here with you guys. I want to thank you for logging in. Before we start, and before we even get into anything, I first want you to know that Jay Justin spoke so highly of you. I know how much this relationship means to him, and so we value you being here. The second thing I want you to know is we respect your time, and I know you're extremely busy. I'm sure you are. And our goal is to get you out of here by the top of the hour, just like we promised. We don't want to keep you any longer than necessary and any longer than you've already committed for. It means a lot to us that you're here, and our goal is to add some value in the time that we share. Sound good? They're like, yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. But instant rapport. I didn't ask a single freaking question. And then I get into questions. Hey, tell me your story. Tell me about yourself. What do you guys do for work? Where'd you grow up? Tell me about your family. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your relationship you think with money. Did you grow up in a wealthy family? Did you grow up middle class? What was your thought process on money as you were growing up? See, these are all things that create rapport, but it's asking the right questions. Hey, do you have someone who's working with you right now? One of the questions I always ask is, do you have a financial professional that's currently working with you? No? Okay. Or yes? Okay, great. Hey, we're not in the business of stealing clients from anybody. My goal would just be that in the time we share, we could add some value. And if there's anything we could do that maybe plugs in a hole somewhere of something you're missing or can upgrade what you already have or enhance something already in place, obviously Jay Justin would love to have you as a client. So what are we doing? We go through and we start asking the right questions. Tell me about your goals. Do you have any financial goals? Yeah, I'd like to buy a house. Okay, cool. Why do you want to buy a house? Man, I want to buy a house because my parents never owned one. Oh, really? Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Where did you guys grow up? What home did you live in when you were growing up? And we just layer questions, asking the right questions, layering questions. But you know why people struggle layering questions? Because they don't listen. You can't drive a point deeper and ask a follow-up question and be a great interviewer if you're not actually presently listening and you're not even hearing what the person's saying. And so asking the right questions is a big technique in driving deeper dialogue. Okay, what else? When they answer you, take notes. I'm writing down things the whole entire appointment. Things that stand out to me when the client goes, man, it would mean a lot to me if I could leave something behind for my kids. I write down, the client wants to leave a legacy. Hey, tell me about that. Tell me more about that. When you say you want to leave something for your kids, what do you have in mind? Okay. Has anyone ever left anything behind for you? Grandparents or anybody? Did anyone leave an inheritance? No, they didn't. Right? I'm taking notes. These are all the things that are important. And by the way, people like someone who listens to them. So I could spend 30 minutes doing this, get off the appointment, never even have shown a slide, but the client tells me, hey, I could put $1,000 a month into something. We never even got into a slide presentation. It's simply just the fact that I was present, I connected with them, I showed that I genuinely care. I asked questions. They told me all about themselves. I asked more questions and layering questions. I was genuinely listening. And I found out everything I needed to know, because if you want to know what's in people's head and in their hearts, just listen when they talk. And I took a lot of notes, and I got all the hot buttons. And everyone has a button on their forehead that says, push this and make me feel good. Everybody wants someone to listen to them. Everybody wants someone who's going to make them feel good. How do you make someone feel good? By listening to them. Hey, tell me your story. Wow, tell me more. Tell me why that's important to you. Tell me what it means to you to leave something behind. Tell me what it means to you to be successful. Tell me why that's important. Like, if you just layer, I'm telling you guys, man, you get to the end of the appointment, you didn't even present anything. And the client's like, oh my God, that was so incredible. I really like that guy. Man, he's great. I took Ronnie on an appointment with me one time to do a delivery. Sitting across with this lady, dropping off her policy. I had to get a paperwork signed to make the policy official. Once it's signed, I get paid, right? I sat there at a restaurant with this lady who talked for 45 minutes. And the whole time I'm like, are you serious? No way. Really? Oh my gosh. Wow, what did you think of that? What did they do next? No, they didn't. Seriously? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. No. Wow, that's great. Holy smokes. Hey, do me a favor. Sign this for me real quick. Oh, yeah. Push it back to me. Hand it to Ronnie. Oh, my God. Wow. Dude, that is crazy. That's incredible. That's a great story. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thanks for your time. Boom, we get up and we, oh, my God, Jay, I love you so much. This was so great. Thank you for everything you do. We get in the car. I tell Ronnie, I said, what'd you think? She's like, you didn't even say anything. All you said was, wow, no way. Seriously? Oh my gosh. No, she didn't. Are you kidding me? I said, well, guess what? You could say all the right scripts. You could say all the right stuff. You could flip the right charts. But if everything is surface level, you get nowhere. It's all about driving deep, meaningful, impactful, lasting connections. Or when people are done with you, they go, man, that was awesome. I enjoyed the time. You know why? People don't spend time around people who listen. Most people don't listen. Most people, the whole time, they just run their mouth. They don't listen. You want to know who the most powerful person in the room is? The one who's not talking. You go sit around a campfire, the one bonehead who's running his mouth the whole time and wants to be heard is the least powerful person in the room. The most powerful person's just quiet. They're observing. They're listening. They're taking notes. I didn't say a damn word that whole jet flight with Ed. Like nothing. I honestly don't even think I spoke a single complete sentence. Partially because this one bonehead was running his mouth for probably like 3 hours, to be honest. It was probably longer than 45 minutes. And then the other half, I was observing ignorance on one side and just like a God level of presence and listening skills from my lad that I talk about a million times to this day. Because I'm like, I got home, I'm like, Ronnie, you will not believe, first of all, this dumbass wouldn't shut up. And then secondly, I don't know how Ed listens so much. So present. So present. By the way, when he got off the plane, I'm guessing Ed was probably like, God, that guy's an idiot. But you would have never gathered that from him being present and listening. Ever. Never. You want to know what else makes a great connection? Is telling stories. See, every time I tell a story, it breaks down walls, breaks down barriers, and creates connection. Storytelling is a huge one in keeping communication relatable and memorable and simple and easy. Now, as we finish this episode, here's what I want you to know. Get good at listening. Read some books on it. Get good at asking the right questions. Read some books on it. Literally, go on Google, go on Goodreads, go on Amazon, and just Google, hey, books on being a great listener, books on being present, books on connecting. There's so many books on it. everyone communicates, few connects. There's another one called like connecting past the surface. I don't remember, something like that. There's so many, like you could just Google it and focus and spend time on this, because that agent that we started this episode by talking about, they're a great presenter. If this is an area that they improve in and they just up their game in their ability to be present and empathetic and vulnerable and connect, like true connection, every single client they sit with will become their client. And every client they sit with will stay their client for life. People want to be a part of something where they feel loved and cared about and valued. And one of the ways you make people feel loved and cared about and valued is by listening to them. Not just presenting, not talking at them, but having dialogue with them. Just like a tennis match, a ping pong match. I hit the ball, you hit it back. I hit the ball, you hit it back. That's real, healthy, meaningful dialogue on an appointment where we're trying to get somewhere, where I genuinely care about you. We're not just talking to talk. I'm not just asking questions to ask questions. I'm asking questions with a purpose. Every single time I ask a question, it should move us closer to positioning ourselves to get a result that's in the client's best interest. That's a great presentation. A great presentation is not a presentation. It's not formal. It may be formal if it has to be, depending on the setting, depending on the industry, but a great presentation doesn't feel like a presentation. They don't get off and go, yeah, I sat through a presentation today. Instead, they get off and they go, yeah, I met with so-and-so, and man, I learned so much. I had a great time. It was a great experience. That's a great appointment. Now, thank you guys as always for spending time with us. Thank you as always for listening to our show. Thank you as always for all the shares. And when I say all the shares, like, let me tell you what I mean. I don't mean just those of you that share the Instagram reels, that the producer puts out. I mean, like, those of you guys that share. It's pretty cool to see those of you that share when you're watching it on your TV, you're watching it at work on your computer, you're watching it at home, like stuff like that is cool. It allows us to kind of see like into your life and see what it looks like to be on the other side. And so we appreciate it. All the tags. Thank you for all of that. As a reminder, we're on multiple platforms. So I know a lot of you watch on YouTube. I know a lot of you listen on Spotify. I know there's also Apple Podcasts. And I don't know if it's anywhere else or not, but I think those are the three main ones. And we appreciate, wherever you do and you sharing with your teammates and all that good stuff. So all the feedback is always welcome. If it sucks, tell us. And as always, thank you to my producer, Jay Justin, DJ Just Jay on Instagram, who's always editing and doing all this stuff. We couldn't do it without you. All right, you guys, we're out. See you soon.